how has the Indian startup ecosystem evolved in the terms of PCs and VCs investments over the years?
I think suffice to say, and I think everybody on the panel as well as the audience will agree, based on what we've seen around us, based on what the bureaucracy and the government have done, and based on what the press keeps reporting, the private ecosystem, the private funding ecosystem, which includes private equity and venture capital, I think has seen an exuberance and a very elevated level of activity over the last few years. And these numbers that I have on the chart there, from 2015 till 22 calendar year, make that point amply clear. And I think, Sandhya, you made a very good point that compared to last year, there's been a nearly 25% or 1/3 of a fall from last year. But I think the way to read cycles is to remove the outliers, for whatever they're worth. So we were all very happy with the $40 billion that came in last year. But that was an aberration. It's not a normal part of the cycle. We are all very happy to see those numbers. But I think if you ignore the 21 big bar there, and then you look at the trend, I think the trend is very clear that I think we, as an Indian ecosystem, before 21 had formed a base of about $10-11 billion every year. I think what happened in 21 globally, and India was a big beneficiary of that. My view is that we formed a base of about $20-25 billion every year, regardless of whether the funding winter continues or the winter's shorter, and we see good times ahead as well. So I think $20-25 billion every year has become kind of a bottom. And this is not just because the numbers on a chart are showing that. I think it is simply that India has the Indian ecosystem and the Indian economy itself, I think, is coming into its own. We are all following what's happening at Davos very closely. And as we all saw that, there's really hardly any mention of China at all. But India has been spoken about a lot. In fact, the Indian government has gone to the extent of sponsoring a lot of, advertisement and banners and other things to give more visibility to India there. So I think this is a trend, in my opinion, for the next 5 to 10 years, where India will remain at the center stage. And I'm very happy to be part of this early stage ecosystem, which is the maximum, we're just seeing the maximum growth.
Yeah, absolutely. So what, according to you, what is the future like of this prolonged funding winter? Yeah,
I think it's a cycle like any other cycle. I've been in the markets more than 25 years. So we've seen a lot of cycles. We saw the dot-com boom and the burst. Then the famous 2007, 2008 happened. And then 2012 to 13 happened. So we've seen a lot of these cycles. And I think this is just part of the cycle. You may call it, very interestingly, the funding winter, or you may call it the down part of a cycle, etc. As I said, we remain extremely positive about what's happening on the ground in India. And it's not just about technology and early stage startups, etc. I think it takes a whole village to grow a baby, as they say. So, you have to see development also in infrastructure. And over my few visits to cities across the country, every second city is dug up. There's infrastructure coming up, there's a metro being planned, there's the highways happening, airports are getting renovated, new airports are coming up. So I think this is not just about us being very happy about what's happening in the technology sector. I think it's an overall India story. So from our point of view at Equanimity, the next 10 years, just remain invested in India. And, obviously we being very biased, please do remain invested in the early stage ecosystem. And if you are an entrepreneur, just take that leap, have belief, the ecosystem will support you. And these are the years of growth. You don't want to miss the next 5-10 years. You have to participate.